I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
In early June 1949, I graduated from the 8th grade at the old Atlantic Street School in Roseville. My parents and I, along with my good friend Janet Lutz, went on a 2-week vacation in the mountains near Strawberry on Highway 50. Every few days, my dad would drive us over the mountain to swim in Lake Tahoe. Janet and I were carefree teenagers who loved to swim and were looking forward to high school in September. Nearing the last day of our vacation, we went one last time to swim in the lake. June 27, 1949 was a fateful day for me. When Janet and I were swimming about 300 feet offshore, a speedboat came plowing through the water at high speed, just missing Janet's head and shearing off my feet. Janet came to help me keep me afloat. Then we turned around and saw the boat bearing down on us again. I told her to run, but she stayed with me and we turned the other way. Just before getting to us, the driver cut his engines and stopped. I asked him to help me because I believed he had broken my legs. He laughed and took off at high speed again. My father was on the beach and saw the drama happening before his eyes and ran through the water to rescue me. There was no formal medical help in that area in 1949. They took me to a doctor's cabin who had some emergency medical supplies. He was able to stop the bleeding and give me blood plasma, which saved my life. I was then taken to Washoe General Hospital in Reno by South Lake Tahoe's new ambulance. Upon arrival, I was immediately rushed into surgery. The first big dilemma was how to tell me my feet were gone. I thought they were just broken. My father just couldn't do it, so one surgeon did the difficult job. This was a terrible shock to me, especially because I was athletic and was learning to swan dive off the high dive at Johnson Pool in Roseville. I wasn't planning a long hospital stay that summer. The next morning, my dad and others arranged to have a girl just my age visit who had 2 legs amputated just like mine. She came walking into my room without a limp, cheerful and smiling. I could not believe my eyes. I then realized I had a good chance of walking again and continue a somewhat normal life. For the next week, it seemed every time I woke up, my minister from the Roseville Presbyterian Church, Bill McCalmont, was standing there with a smile on his face and words of encouragement. I was bitter at first, but he convinced me God was going to use me to set an example for others, and I would be okay. In later years, I have visited many amputees, and I know his words were prophetic. About the middle of September, I returned to Roseville and started Roseville High School in a wheelchair. I still had several surgeries to go before getting new artificial limbs. I was scared to start school, but I didn't have to worry long. A gal with bright red hair bounded up to my wheelchair one day and introduced herself as Jean Davis and asked if I needed any help. We became close friends in a short time, and that friendship continues to this day. She pushed my wheelchair all over Roseville and included me in her group of friends. At times, she pushed me to her home after school, which was clear down to Clinton Avenue, which is a mile or so. She also took me to all the ball games, dances, and other activities, so I was included in everything. Roseville High School was a good place to be in 1949-50 for a disabled kid in a wheelchair because most everyone accepted me just like nothing was wrong. In the small town of Roseville, so many people came forward to help with my tremendous expenses. Bill Clancy staged several baseball games for the Imogene Fund. There was a sneak preview movie at the Roseville Theater, and all proceeds went to the fund. Job's Daughters put on bake sales all over the state of California. Many individuals donated money, and there was a big concert at the Memorial Auditorium in Sacramento to benefit the fund. It is unbelievable how the town and country turned out to help this unknown young girl who was involved in a tragic accident. I soon realized I must do well to pay them back because so many were praying and rooting for me. In the spring of 1950, I entered UC San Francisco Hospital for extensive plastic surgeries to save my right knee. It was so far away I didn't have much company, but there were several guys from the varsity football team who used to cut school, hitchhike to San Francisco, and show up unexpectedly. Can you imagine what a morale booster that was? Ernie Boston, Don Edgar, and Hugh McGuigan I especially remember. After 3 months more in the hospital, I was fitted with artificial limbs and was off running. I took my first steps without crutches in the Davis living room and shortly learned to jitterbug there. I graduated from Roseville High School in June 1953 and attended College of the Pacific for 1 year. 5 years after my accident, on June 27, 1954, I went to a dance at the Balbajou Dance Hall and met a handsome sailor named Rocky Haynes. We arranged a date the next weekend, fell in love, and got married on September 26, 1954. It takes a very special person to be the mate of a disabled person like me, and fate stepped in when I met my lifetime helpmate. So far, we have been married over 55 years. We had a daughter, Linda, in July of 1955, and a son, Fred, in March 1959. We now have 4 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. With much help from my loving husband, family, and friends, I have been able to live a very normal life. I raised my family, worked for doctors in Roseville for over 20 years, and we have traveled extensively in our motorhome throughout the U.S.